Hi everyone, welcome to Squirrel Brain Stories. Just a little reminder right here at the beginning, we're going to be talking about heavy topics. Please make sure to take care of yourself, reach out to a friend if this triggers something in you. Make sure you drink your water, take your meds, and just maybe if you're not in a good place, today is not the day for this, come back to us later.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Squirrel Brain Stories. Last time you guys got to hear a little bit about my feral childhood.
Who are you?
I'm Ange and I have Adria here, my co-host with me. Hello everyone.
Hello.
So last week you guys got to hear a bit about my feral childhood and we kind of led up to things that happened right before my parents took me to the cult. And we are going to continue on.
Yes. So, like you said, where we left off is you punched, slapped, did something to your mom's face, and they came and picked you up after school.
What was during school?
During school hours, and put you in the car and
started driving.
Was it far?
No, I could tell it was still like within the city because it probably wasn't more than a 30-minute drive.
Okay. And what did they say anything to you?
They had said that, if I recall correctly, they had said that it was a place that my grandma and her boyfriend told them about.
Which grandma are we talking about? The grandma who had a child with a child molester? Like your mom's mom?
Yes, my mom's mom.
Okay. So, did she ever know what her husband was up to?
I have no idea.
If you guys didn't listen to the last one.
But I know he abused someone else and one of the other. I think I have a few aunts. Maybe 5 or 6 of them, and I'm pretty sure he abused one of my other aunts too.
So your mom and your aunt, and you're not sure if grandma ever knew?
Yeah.
I don't know. How did grandma find out about the cult? Was this just
her boyfriend? I don't know if he used to live there at the cult. I know that he helped them with their nonprofit paperwork. He was the one that did their nonprofit.
That's right. Your cult was a nonprofit organization.
Yes, that is correct. So yeah, we were just in the car driving for a while. I tried to keep track of the streets we were on so that way I would know my way home to get back to my friend.
Yeah.
Because that was the only person that I was really close with. But no, I couldn't remember the roads. There were too many roads.
Yeah. And at 12, 13, with no access to the internet, it wasn't a thing.
No. There was no MapQuest that I knew of.
Girl, you remember the days when you would MapQuest shit and you would have to print it out?
Yes. I do.
I just found one that my mom had printed to a casino. Sorry, totally random.
No, that was pretty. Those days, I do not miss those days.
That was kind of fun.
I don't know. Then you gotta flip the paper and like.
I don't know, but if you get off on the wrong exit, you're on an adventure.
No. No, thank you.
Oh my god. So you're all twisty-turny in the car, have no idea where you are, but you know you're kind of close to home. What did they say while you're in the car with them? Was there...
It was pretty quiet. They said that they were taking me somewhere that maybe they said something like that would help or something.
Help You or help them?
Me.
Did they define the help? Like, this will help turn you into a godly woman, this will make you a better child, or just this can help you?
Yeah, it was a pretty quiet car ride. There wasn't a lot of talking going on.
And you never went back home. Did you have anything more than like your backpack with you? Since they picked you up from school?
Not that I recall.
Okay.
I think they might have brought me some things later, but it definitely wasn't all my stuff.
What happened when you got there?
I'm pretty sure that I was introduced to the leader, because that would have been the first thing. I mean, when you walk in, that's right where he's sitting. So I'm pretty sure that happened. I just don't remember that part, exactly who it was, but I know I was greeted. And then now looking back, I'm pretty sure they had just gotten done doing a Bible study. There was a lot of people running all around, not running, but, walking around. It just felt really chaotic because there are so many people. So many people inside one kitchen.
Well, and you don't understand what's happening either.
Yes, because probably 95% of the people only spoke Spanish.
That must have been hard and really fucking scary.
It was, because I didn't know these people. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what anyone was saying or thinking. Kind of felt like I was in a third world country, like in another country.
Yeah. It honestly may as well be at that point, because like you said, you
don't know the language.
You don't know anything. You're walking into a situation, you don't know it's a cult. You have no idea what to expect. Even if someone were to tell you, you wouldn't understand.
No, I wouldn't.
And I'm assuming your mom didn't really give you much of anything besides get out, bye.
Yeah, she said that they'd come back to check on me once in a while. And that was pretty much it. And so after that, then I went and sat at this table for hours. I don't know how long it was, but it definitely was a long time, until an American person came up to me finally. And they asked me what time I go to bed. So I'm guessing we were getting close to bedtime, and I'm still here sitting at this table and everyone's just ignoring me. So they're like, what time do you go to bed? And I said, whenever I want. And they said, no, you don't, not anymore. And I was just kind of blown away by that. I don't know. It felt really scary to hear that, because
kind of like the first clue that, you're here and you no longer have decisions.
Yeah, it was kind of a little bit like an awakening kind of shock. Like, you're actually really here and there's nothing you can do about it. And they're going to dictate everything. I don't know. It was really scary. And the main thing that kept running through my head was, I know my mom said that I was a bad kid, but like, am I bad enough to just be dumped off like I'm some garbage? And like, even, we weren't really close to any of my other cousins or my aunts, but it's like,
you could have sent me to family.
Yes.
Instead of doing this.
Yes. I think the reason why they liked this option was because it didn't cost them anything. They didn't have to give any money. They didn't have to support me in any way. They just dropped me off and left.
Do you think it was also kind of they wouldn't have to see you? Because if you're living with family, the odds of them bumping into you.
Well, when my mom finally got pregnant, they had me come back for a while after my little sister was born, because they wanted me to babysit. So they brought me back home, I think during the week for a little while, and then they would send me back there for the weekend so I could watch my little sister. And then at a certain point, then I just kind of went back. I think and I was already, the prearranged husband was in the picture at this point. I mean, not married to him, but he was talking to me.
So you were still about 14, 15?
Yeah, probably around there. Because I married him when I was 16.
Okay.
So it was really scary and very alienating and just really sad, that just the feeling like your parents don't love you and don't care about you anymore. I don't think any kid should ever feel anything like that. Because no matter what, your parents should always love their kids. Isn't it like unconditional? It's supposed to be unconditional love.
I will say this until the day I die. Not everyone that has children is fit to be a parent.
That is very true.
And that might offend people, and I'm really just okay with that. My son's bio dad is one of those people who should never have put himself in a position to have a child.
Yeah, some people just should not.
Yeah. But that's okay. It happens. Oh, your mom.
Every once in a while when they would come, they came and visit a few times and they would give me $20 for laundry.
Oh, that's right. You had to pay for your own laundry. That wasn't part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Did they care though? Were there people in dirty clothes when you got there?
No, they all washed their laundry. I mean, they all were able to go to the laundry.
They all figured out the money.
Yeah.
Okay. What? Because we're bouncing around, but that very beginning, those first couple of days and weeks, do you remember even what was going through your head?
It just felt like I was in another country because I couldn't understand the people.
Yeah.
And just the way, my pseudo mom that took me in under her wing that night. I slept up in the room. She took me to their room, and it was me and about five other girls or so in the room. And I thought it was really strange that people were sleeping on the floor. Like, I had never slept on the floor before, except for, if I wanted to, like at a friend's house.
Yeah.
But I had never slept on the floor like a daily occurrence.
Because you had to.
Yeah. So it was really weird. And then the next morning, they all were waking up super early, like 6 o'clock or something. It was like 6 o'clock. They woke us up, and I was like, whoa, this is early. What are we doing?
Did you, in the very beginning, kind of resist at all? Were you like, no, it's too early, I'm going to go back to sleep, or I don't feel like going to bed right now, I don't feel like doing what you're telling me to do?
I didn't feel like I had a choice. It was very strict, and everyone had to follow the rules.
That's very different from the home life you left behind.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was very much, your stepdad came in, tried to lay down the rules, you told him where to go and how to get there, and then you're thrust into this community where there's no escape, there's this huge language barrier, there's an incredible learning curve, and even as a child you're like, oh, this is not the place to try and tell them that I do what I feel like doing.
Yeah. No, I learned that from the first night when I was told, about the bedtime. Like, no, not anymore. I'm like, so I kind of knew what to expect from them. I mean, I at least imagined that everything was going to be controlled and very strict.
So that was really your first impression after getting over the initial shock of being there was, oh, I am completely powerless in this new situation, and I just kind of need to follow what's going on around me so that I fit in and don't get myself in trouble.
Yes. That was, yeah.
And was
Survival.
that like a conscious thing? Or was it just kind of...
No, I think it was. I knew that if I didn't want to get in trouble, I had to do whatever I could to follow the rules and do whatever they wanted me to do. Otherwise, you're going to be called out in Bible studies. You're going to be shamed. You're,
Yeah.
be embarrassed. And I was super shy, and I didn't want to be called out in front of Bible study, in front of everyone, because I didn't wake up for Bible study or whatever.
Yeah. And so that very first day they woke you up, took you downstairs to Bible study, and just kind of dragged you along from task to task throughout the day?
Yeah. Showed me like what the routine was, all of the Bible studies. And because after the first main Bible study, that was at like 6:30 or 7, that was the first Bible study. And then there was a little break, and then we would have personal Bible study. I think that was like 10 o'clock or somewhere around there. It was still in the morning before lunchtime. We would go have our own personal Bible study, which means that you're reading the Bible by yourself instead of someone, preaching to you. So we would have that until about lunchtime. And then lunchtime people would disperse, and we'd go figure out our lunch, go do our chores, and then we would be back for Bible study. I think it was about 3 or so. And then we'd have more personal Bible study until dinner time. And then we were dismissed for dinner. And after dinner, we had another Bible study at 7:30. So the day was full of Bible study and no schooling. Like, no one was homeschooling me. No one went to public schools. There were some kids there that were homeschooled, but that was only if you had a parent there. Your parent homeschooled you.
And they were allowed to do that?
To homeschool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did the school ever ask about you?
Not that I ever knew about.
So you just
disappeared.
Up and disappeared.
From middle school.
I'm sure your friend was incredibly concerned because you ran away to her house, and then a couple days later you're just
gone. Yeah. We're friends on Facebook now, and she's like, we tried looking for you. She told me that a long time ago. Yeah.
God, I can't imagine how she felt.
Yeah, that must have been great. I wonder if she ever went asking, like...
I don't know if I'd be able to ask. I think I would be terrified of the answer. I think I would look quietly. But if I knew my best friend was having such a hard time at home, and there was abuse and neglect and, this new controlling figure in her life, she gets taken from school early and then disappears, I don't think I would be able to bring myself to ask, where's your daughter?
Yeah, that just seems
like if she disappeared that easily and nobody is asking questions, maybe I should also not
ask questions. No, that is a different perspective. That does make sense.
Yeah, my best friend in high school had to move away from her dad. Some stuff happened. I won't talk her business. But I remember feeling like it was my fault, and I remember feeling horrible. I had encouraged her to do something that led to her having to leave. I wasn't wrong. It was the right thing to do. But at the time, we're 16 years old, and I'm like, my best friend is gone now. And it's my fault if I just hadn't said anything. But that felt horrible. I probably would have lost my shit if she had just disappeared. And I had no idea. Like what happened to her, where she went, couldn't get a hold of her. Nobody talked about her. Just
gone. Poof.
Gone.
And to me, all of this just feels so normal.
Yeah, I know.
That's why, I talk about it so easily just because it was like, yeah, it was my life. And I don't know, it felt normal. So there's a lot of things that I still need to process as an adult to close this chapter.
Yeah. And it's the way that we categorize things in order to protect ourselves and in order to continue functioning is so important, because the way you categorized all of this was, well, it's a thing that happened, and if you give it too much time and too much attention and too much power, it's going to crack you,
Yeah.
So I get it.
I think I know a little bit about that.
We're peeling away. It'll be okay.
Oh, yeah. I didn't talk about what led me up to wanting to do a podcast.
We can talk about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but it's your podcast.
No.
And we can do whatever you want.
So over the years, I've had, ever since I got the second ex-husband out of the picture, I just kind of started, I'd be at the bar and be like, yeah, I grew up in a cult, and it was like, it was a little sigh of relief. And I noticed that every time I told someone a little glimpse of something, it just was like a little bit of relief, like, a little sigh. So I knew it was good to talk about. And, 20 years have gone by.
Yeah.
And my husband and a lot of people have said, you need to write a book. Well, you've already heard how much school I went to. I am not capable of being a legit writer for a book. If you didn't miss my lack of schooling.
Lack of schooling has nothing to do with the ability to tell a story. I promise.
Okay. So there was this lady that I started following, a sourdough maker, because, you make sourdough and it looks so fun. And I'm like, I want to make sourdough too. So I started following this lady, like, because I like homey things, cooking and baking. I'm like,
it's because we're homebodies.
Yes. So I was like, I can do the whole sourdough thing. I just need to figure, there's so many rules. Oh, I don't like the rules. So I started following this lady, Emily Rose Lewis, and she just made her podcast look so easy. Like, she's in her kitchen. You can tell it's from her phone. Yeah. She's like, she looks all messy. She looks like she's wearing her pajamas every time she's on camera.
It's me.
Like, she'll have, interesting music playing in the background. And she just does her thing, and she made it look so easy. And I think I followed her. I was watching her videos maybe 2 weeks. And I'm like, I was just awed by how easy it looked. And so I finally came to the conclusion. I'm like, okay, it's easy. I'm like, I need to do a podcast. She makes it look so easy. It can't be that hard. I'm like, if she can do it and it be that unpolished, I definitely can fucking do it.
And how do you feel now?
I'm glad that I did it, because I, as this has been going on, I have been experiencing a lot of things. Like the day that I decided to do the podcast, what was it, like 2 days later, this door somewhere inside of me, opened up, unlocked and opened, and I had all of these rushing emotions. And
yeah, you went a little left on me there.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
went outside and tore down my front yard fence with a sledgehammer at 9:00 at night, and
Just a little manic Monday on a Saturday. It's fine.
and after that, I realized I wasn't in a good place, and so I texted Adria, and I'm like, I shouldn't be alone, and that was all I said. And she's like, I'm there in 2 minutes,
And I was.
and she
and
was.
Yes, I had her drink water.
And she's like, get your ass inside and go sit down and go drink your water. You're all flushed and you're out here in your bra and you look like a crazy person.
Yeah. She was in the pitch black dark of night, tearing down a fence with rusty nails in it and flip-flops, yoga pants, and a sports bra. And yeah, we can't have that. So let this be your reminder. Take care of yourselves today, guys. Drink your water. Take your meds if you have meds. Be kind to yourself. Yeah.
So after that, I was overwhelmed with all of the feelings. Like there was rage and anger and hate, resentment. Like I just wanted to hurt these people so bad for taking my childhood from me.
And that's really the core of what I mean when we say we categorize things in order to be able to survive. And I know you and I have talked a little bit about it, about how there's such a difference between Angela in survival mode and the Angela that you are today.
Yes.
And really, you've started giving yourself permission to get out of survival mode because you've built this incredible life. Highly educated or not, you've got a fantastic job. You make good money, better money than I made when I was in the workforce, and I spent, I graduated high school. So, it really has no bearing on where you can go in life. But you're all of these wonderful things, and this has been weighing you down for so long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel like up until that box opened, I still had been confined to this cookie cutter that they had made me into. I hadn't fully grown and figured out who I was. Like, what do I want to be? Who am I as a person? Just because everything was always dictated for me. All of that processing had to wait until I was in an environment that I felt safe, like with my husband.
Yeah.
And as time has gone on, since we've been married, he's very supportive. And like, if I say I want to be the president, he'll be like, okay, I'll be your campaign manager. Like, there's not anything that he won't do to support me. He's amazing. And I think it just being in that safe environment with him, finally, it's like, okay, we can process, we can unlock the box, we can do this.
And you can
and explore
I'm not alone. Who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think being able to watch from the outside, I think that that's been the most important thing for you. Like, I remember when we first moved to where we live now, and you started varnishing the patio. Mm-hmm. And that kind of snowballed into your acrylic art. It was just getting to watch you explore your own interests.
Yeah.
Because you were interested in it, not because your husband was interested in it, not because they told you had to be. It was organic, and it was just you wanting to explore it.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't understand how significant that was until we got to know each other better. And I was like, she's really just been in a box for so long.
Yeah.
And just those little tiny steps, every single moment where you went, I want to do this, so I'm gonna. Sometimes I don't even think you really saw how powerful those moments were in your development. It was just kind of like, I'm just going to do this.
Yeah, I don't think I realized what all of that was until just not to, like, just going through this, just realizing, like, oh, that was me trying to grow and figure out who I was, because I've never had a hobby. Like, what do I do for fun? Cook for my family, cook or clean, organize. Like, those were the things that were allowed, for my fun time.
Exactly. Those are your wifely duties.
Yes.
Take care of your man, take care of your children, neglect yourself.
Mm-hmm. But I had never done anything for myself, or, like, considered, what are my interests? Do I have a bucket list? Well, what should I put on that bucket list? What do I put on it? Like, because you're starting from zero.
What do other people put on it?
I know.
What are you doing?
I know.
It's like at the beginning of the school year where you have to fill out that little questionnaire about what you did over the summer and, like, the things about me. It's like looking over. What did you put down? Okay. That sounds
that's
good.
a good idea.
I went to the boardwalk. Yep. I rode a roller coaster. I certainly did.
Yeah. So I feel like I've just been learning a lot about myself since I decided to do this. And when weird emotions creep up, because one of the things that I had to come to terms with was one of the emotions that was popping up when I was processing this was grief. And I was like, okay, I didn't know what it was for a couple days. It just was a heavy feeling, just like draining and exhausting, and like this deep sadness, and just not really caring about anything. And I'm like, why do I feel this sadness? And then after I went on a drive, I'm like, okay, let me think deeply about what I'm actually feeling. And so I was thinking about everything. And I'm like, this is grief. And then I was like, okay, that doesn't make sense. Why would I feel grief for this place? And then I realized that it wasn't grief for the people that abused me or the cult leader. It was grief for the relationships that I had made there, the people that felt like they were my family. Because, that was just kind of gone one day. It just all ended. So all of these other kids that I grew up with that were my family just kind of all went away. And I also grieved for losing my childhood, and all of the what ifs, what if I wasn't sent there and I finished school like I was supposed to? Like, just thinking of the things that I could be today, I could have been a microbiologist making experiments happen in a little lab like I do in my lab for the Bath and Body products, experimenting. Like, I never had the chance to figure out what I wanted to be, what was my passion. So that's what I'm trying to figure out now. Like, what do I want to be? What do I want to do? What do I want to try? Just so many different things that I'm just trying to figure out, because you can leave a place like that, but just because you leave doesn't mean that you still don't think the same way, or it's still not affecting your everyday life, even though it's been 20 years ago.
Deprogramming, I don't think it's not an event, it's a process, and it's also not linear. And I think, do you think any of that grief is for the mom that you didn't get to have?
I don't think so, because I don't know what having a real mom looks like. So I never missed her in the first place.
Yeah.
So going to the cult, we never had a connection. So when I was there, I missed being home in my own bedroom, but I didn't miss her.
Even now, all these years later, being a mom
and knowing what you needed back then, there's no part that's kind of like, fuck. You know, if only she had been half the mother I am.
Mm-hmm. Cared a little.
Just a little.
Yeah. Things would have been way different.
Yeah. Yeah, they would have.
But I don't know if it would have necessarily led me to the same path, you know, and
I would bet my life it would not have.
And that's, you know, when I talk about this story, people are like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And, you know, that's usually like the first comment. But I don't know. I don't really, there's things that bother me about it, you know, like losing my childhood, not being able to figure out what I want to do in life, what I want to be.
Being groomed.
Yeah, being groomed. Prearranged marriage. But I know that if all of those things didn't happen, I wouldn't be who I am today.
And you wouldn't have anything that you have today.
Yeah. So I don't think I would necessarily take it all away, because I know that it helped me grow, you know, it taught me empathy, you know, like just all the things that, you know, in reading your Bible that many hours a day, like I feel like taught me how to be a good person. Yeah, you know, treat others as you wish to be treated, you know, the virtues and, you know, those kind of things. I feel like, you know, they're kind of good values that everyone should be going by. And even if you're not religious, you know, it's good to, you know, be nice to people, be kind.
Just be a decent fucking human.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. So I don't know if I would have necessarily became that person if I hadn't had all this Bible teaching. I mean, I already had boyfriends. I was running away. I was already drinking. I was smoking. I did marijuana before I was taken to the cult. So, like,
did marijuana.
I did. You know, the old school with the can.
I was going to say, were you pouring out an apple or something?
No, a soda can.
Okay, of course you were. It's okay. My aunt one time told me, she's like, yeah, I used to freebase cocaine. I'm like, who are you?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah, but, so, I don't know. It's definitely been a journey, like, making this decision and knowing that I'm going to confront a lot of hard stuff, but I know that it's part of my healing journey. And if I don't do it now, it's got to happen someday. And the longer I procrastinate on, you know, coming to this point where I'm ready to talk about it, get off my shoulders, try to heal, I know that if I don't talk about it at some point, I'm not going to be able to process all the things that are still stuck inside.
And you also hide.
Yeah. I'm good at that.
You are good at that.
That's because, you know, I'm not good with my emotions. In the cult, our emotions didn't matter. No one cared. No one wanted to hear about how you were feeling. They were never validated, and we basically were trained to not have them. So I got very good about keeping things locked away that I don't like and letting them, you know, just stay inside, deep inside. And it's been quite a learning experience to, like, start letting things out and talk about, like, how I feel. Because it makes me, when I talk about how I feel, like, I feel a little greedy. Like, I'm trying to take the attention.
Okay. Do you think you actually feel greedy, or do you think that is a defensive response because you feel vulnerable?
Probably defensive because I feel vulnerable, but also, like, with never ever talking about them before and feels like I'm burdening someone.
You're allowed to take up space.
I know. It just isn't a good feeling.
Well, this is your podcast. It's literally all your space. All of it. You get to use all of it and be as big or as little as you need to be.
Thank you. One of the other things I've noticed that I have a lot of confusion about, or a struggle, is I don't really feel like I have an identity to a heritage. Because I grew up Hispanic.
Yeah.
But we never celebrated holidays in the cult. And I'm American. But I didn't celebrate American holidays. So it's just, I feel like I'm in this confusing spot that I don't really know what I should be. I mean, I don't feel a connection to either, I guess, is a better term.
Is that necessary to just enjoy things?
No, not really, but it feels like an absence because I don't have a connection. Like something's missing.
Have you looked into it?
For a little while, I was doing my DNA ancestry, just to kind of, figure out about my heritage and closure, and but I don't know. That's just been one of the things that I've noticed, and it confuses me a little because the feeling is confusing.
What are you hoping to feel? Are you hoping to feel like some spiritual calling to, Christmas versus something else?
I'm not exactly sure. I just know I can feel that something's off. I don't know how to explain it. But maybe if I just start like celebrating, or I don't know, trying to get in more of the spirit of the different holidays. I don't know. It's just a weird thing when you're brought up in two different cultures,
Yeah, I know that there's a way to take what you want and leave the rest.
Okay.
And by that I mean, if you like celebrating Christmas and you like celebrating the winter solstice, do that. You don't have to celebrate Easter just because you celebrate Christmas. You don't have to celebrate Dia de los Muertos just because.
Okay.
You get to choose. Yeah. Everybody else gets to choose. You get to choose too.
Okay.
What?
I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Just hearing you say that I get to choose, it just makes me realize how much I like put myself on the back burner. Sometimes I'm just still in the habit, like not wanting to do what I want to do.
And that's why I make a point to give you permission to do whatever. Because sometimes I think... So my husband has cancer, right? And he just had chemo yesterday, his first round.
How did that go?
He was exhausted.
Okay.
But part of him is so used to being that big, strong, manly man provider.
Yes.
And laying in bed feeling like shit for months now is wearing on him. It's wearing on his self-esteem. It's wearing on his confidence. And every once in a while, I just have to tell him, it's okay. You're allowed to. You have cancer. You are allowed to, take your oxys and go to bed at 2 p.m. You're allowed to take care of yourself. And I do that for him, and I do that for you too, because you're very much like him, where you would rather push yourself past your limits than to take a step back and be like, hey, I give everybody around me grace. I give them room to be exactly who they are. I meet them where they're at, but you don't give that to yourself.
No, and you know that I'm like constantly like, go, go, go.
Yeah.
Well, part of that is, the ADHD, but part of that is from the training and the cold. Like, if you were idle and not doing anything, you were complacent and you were lazy. So you always had to be busy.
And isn't it like a saying, idle hands are the devil's playground or some shit like that?
Yeah. So they kept us busy. And so now I have a really hard time sitting down and like doing nothing.
I don't think that's the only reason why.
Okay, what else do you think?
If you're going, what's your brain doing? Because you're You're surely not thinking about anything else. You're not unpacking anything. You are focused on how you're going to get this order together to get it to the hair salon in time so she doesn't run out of stuff. You're thinking about your new labels. You're thinking about work. You're thinking about, the kids and making dinner. You're not thinking about, how do I unpack all of this trauma that I've stuffed down for 20 plus years? I only say that because I've done that too. I used to escape into books.
Okay.
I know you're not a big reader, but I used to escape into books. That was my thing. If I could just fall into a book, I could block everything else out. I could pretend that I was in this world and that everything was okay. And if it wasn't okay on this page, it would be okay in 50 pages. And just not think about anything that I was stuffing down. And I think that's what you do with all of your projects. But it's okay.
Keep my mind busy so I can't think about other things.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And I think that's okay.
But I also feel guilty if I'm not doing anything because I feel complacent.
You keep calling it not doing anything, and I really need you to switch that to taking time for yourself.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not that you're not doing anything. You're taking a fucking break. You're entitled to it.
Okay. That's a good way of... Thank you. See, this is why I love her. She just like pulls me back down to earth, like gives me a couple of slaps and wakes me up.
I don't think I was violent.
No, you
not
aren't.
this time. Although I have looked at you a few times and been like, the fuck did you just say to me, and why did you say it so deadpan? Yeah, no. Sorry, I coughed in your ear.
Oh, it's okay.
Well, anything else you want to tell our lovely little squirrels about why you really wanted to start this podcast?
Well, one of the other things, it's kind of a pet peeve of mine I've discovered, is it just really gets me riled up, is when someone says to victims, why didn't you just leave sooner? It kind of pisses me off.
Kind of.
Yeah.
That's...
Because I've been told that by my own kids before, and it's really hard to hear because when you're in that situation, you're doing whatever you can to survive.
Yeah.
Keep your kids, your kids survive, and just like you're just trying to get day to day, and you're too fucking scared too. And most of the time, you're in horrible situations. You don't have any resources. It's a controlling narcissist. that controls every aspect of your life. You don't have any finances because they take it all.
Yep.
Well, where are you supposed to go? They have alienated you from your family. Okay, so these women that are supposed to leave, where do you suggest they go to? How do they get out if they don't have any financial resources, any family, probably no friends? Like, where do they go?
Yeah. And I just want to say, if you're listening or watching this, and your first response to someone's abuse is, why didn't you leave sooner? I'd like to give a very emphatic fuck you. Because it's not helpful, it's not kind, it's not empathetic. It is victim blaming. And
it makes, like, for me, when someone says that, it makes me feel horrible, you know?
Worse than I'm sure you already feel, because you're not the only one that had to suffer.
Yeah.
Your kids suffered. And I know you. And I know that you feel guilt and grief around that. And, you know, when I was in recovery, my sponsor used to tell me to put the telephone pole down, and if I was going to beat myself up, to use a cotton swab. Like metaphorically, of course, just to be gentle with myself. And you are very much like me. You pick up that telephone pole every fucking time. And no one needs help beating themselves up. No one.
Yeah.
It's just the most unhelpful thing that you can do. And if you don't have sympathy for it, reevaluate yourself. Truly. If you would be able to look at your child, your parent, and essentially say, well, it's your fault. It's your fault that someone else was a horrible person. It's your fault that someone else was a pedophile. It's your fault that your mother didn't give enough of a fuck about you to actually parent you. It's your fault for being a child and being uneducated and not having a safe place to run to. Yeah, again, disrespectfully, go fuck yourself. I don't.
You're the best.
I can't stomach it. I can't handle it. When you take a look at the domestic violence statistics and you get to learn that on average it takes 7 attempts for someone to leave an abusive partner. And you look at that and you think of how many times those women were told, or men, that it was their fault, that if they just left. But nobody talks about, you know, them hunting you down, them telling you every single day. If you were told multiple times a day that you are a worthless piece of shit, it would not take long for you to believe it.
Yeah.
It would not take long to believe that you are unworthy of love, unworthy of basic shit, like food, like love. Yeah.
No,
I don't know.
I agree.
I'm going to step off my soapbox
Sorry.
now.
Next week, I think we'll go into a little more detail about the cold and the routine, and we'll get into the grooming.
Yeah, because part of your deconstruction journey now is really about what you learned there, Sorry, y'all, it's very cold in here for some reason. I'm like shivering right now. And I'm like, God, I look like I'm on something, but really I'm just cold. It was like 100 degrees last time I was in here, but I digress. But really deconstructing what you were told about how to be a mother and a woman and a wife and a person. You know, your relationship with food, your relationship with others, your relationship to yourself, and the respect or lack thereof you have for your own feelings. It all comes down to what they shoved down your throat back then.
Yes. No, totally.
Yeah.
It's still, I mean, even nowadays, I, you know, like for an example, I'll hear something, someone will be talking about, a gay person, and I'll be like, ooh. But no, that's not me. I don't care what anyone's sexual orientation is.
Right.
But why do I still have that immediate thought like, oh, that's sin?
Well, because, obviously it was shoved down your throat, and I'm sure we're going to get to it. Any expression of that within the cult, I'm sure, was quite literally beaten down.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I think that is going to be a wrap up for today, you guys.
Yes.
If there is any questions that you guys can think of between now, and the next podcast, we'll make sure that our socials are listed. That way you guys can send in any questions, and we can do, viewer questions as, in the podcast.
Just give us a little bit of grace. This is a few weeks in advance. Like I said, my husband has cancer. I am very busy. You've got kids. I've got kids. You work. We're very busy. So recording in advance works best for us, but we will get to it as soon as we can.
Yeah.
And if it's something really big, I'm sure sorry, I'm chattering. We'll find time to cut it into an episode if it's super important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.